Melania Trump. Great to see you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
The first thing is congratulations.
I want to also thank my beautiful wife, Melania, First Lady.
And you need to defend yourself all the time. As you may heard, I file a few lawsuits and I'm in the court now because they accuse me of doing stuff that I never did in my life, and they wrote lies, and I will not allow that. I will fight till the end because I don't want that they damage my reputation and my name.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him. And she doesn't.
You don't know all that.
That's why I say it like
These are such vile comments, but they are exactly what the View's audience loves. It is targeted perfectly at a radically feminist, liberal audience that loves hate. Another now, this is loving and tolerant rhetoric the left uses, which they accuse the opposing side of using. And this one, those women are a danger to America. They do more than anyone else to stoke political and social tension.
Here's some news for you. The former First Lady has been noticeably absent on her husband's campaign trail, but she just made a stop on Fox News to promote her new memoir. Apparently, she's answered personal and political questions. Take a look.
American people need to decide what they really want. Maybe some, strong tweets, but everything else.
Bombshell revelations have just surfaced from inside ABC's legal department. Melania Trump has secured a jaw-dropping $900 million settlement against The View and co-host Sunny Hostin in what insiders are calling the media lawsuit of the century. Anonymous sources confirm the former First Lady's legal team presented overwhelming evidence that forced ABC executives into an emergency weekend meeting where they made the stunning decision to settle rather than face a public trial. This unprecedented victory isn't just changing Melania's bank account. It's reshaping the entire landscape of celebrity media coverage across America. The financial implications are staggering. Legal experts confirm this represents one of the largest defamation payouts in American history, dwarfing previous high-profile cases against major networks. Inside sources reveal ABC's insurance carriers are in absolute panic mode, with multiple underwriters threatening to withdraw coverage from the network's other shows. The nine-figure settlement allegedly includes both compensatory and punitive damages, with court documents suggesting the judgment was designed to send an unmistakable message to media outlets that routinely target public figures with reckless disregard for truth. And the aftershocks are already being felt throughout the industry. Melania's legal strategy proved devastatingly effective. Court transcripts show her attorneys meticulously documented dozens of instances where The View hosts crossed the critical line between protected opinion and demonstrable falsehood. The smoking gun? Internal production memos allegedly showing producers were aware certain claims about the former First Lady were unsubstantiated, but pushed them anyway to boost ratings. They knowingly traded truth for clicks, explained one legal analyst familiar with the case. The judge reportedly called the evidence damning and inexcusable, noting that even public figures deserve protection from malicious fabrications designed to destroy reputations. But the implications extend far beyond just this case. The ripple effects from this landmark ruling are sending shockwaves through media boardrooms nationwide. Legal experts are calling this the new red line for commentary shows, establishing that reckless attacks on public figures, regardless of political affiliation, now carry catastrophic financial consequences. Several major networks have already issued emergency guidelines to their opinion shows, with one executive reportedly telling staff, "If you can't verify it, don't say it." This single case has fundamentally altered the risk calculation for producers who previously operated under the assumption that public figures had limited legal recourse against negative coverage. And no show exemplifies that previous attitude better than The View itself. For years, The View operated with seeming impunity on American television. Former production assistants have now come forward revealing the toxic environment behind the scenes, where hosts were allegedly encouraged to make increasingly provocative statements to drive social media engagement. Nothing was off limits, claimed one ex-staffer who requested anonymity. The more outrageous the claim, the more clips would circulate online. This strategy reportedly generated millions in advertising revenue, but created a culture where fact-checking took a back seat to sensationalism. Internal documents suggest executives repeatedly ignored legal department warnings about potential liability, believing the show's opinion format provided bulletproof protection against defamation claims. That assumption has now cost them nearly $1 billion and potentially their entire show. The pattern of targeted conservative figures was finally exposed in court, previously sealed documents reveal The View maintained an actual list of safe targets, public figures they believed would never sue regardless of what was said about them. Conservative women topped this list, with Melania Trump allegedly marked as prime content due to her reluctance to engage publicly. A former producer testified that negative segments about the former First Lady reliably boosted ratings by double digits, creating a perverse incentive to manufacture increasingly outrageous narratives about her. It wasn't journalism. It wasn't even opinion, stated one witness. It was character assassination disguised as entertainment. And the most damaging statements came from one host in particular. Sunny Hostin's reckless comments finally crossed the legal line. During a segment that would become central to the lawsuit, Hostin declared without any factual basis that Melania absolutely hates her husband and was trapped in a loveless marriage solely for financial gain. Court documents reveal ABC's own legal department flagged these statements as potentially defamatory within hours of broadcast, but executives took no corrective action. Even more damaging, production notes show Hostin was specifically coached to make these claims with absolute certainty to drive viewer engagement, despite having zero inside knowledge of the Trumps' personal relationship. When other hosts nodded along, it created the false impression that these statements were established facts rather than baseless speculation. This pattern of behavior became the cornerstone of Melania's devastating legal case. The lawsuit methodically documented years of calculated attacks against Melania. Her legal team presented the court with over 200 clips showing a clear pattern of defamatory statements designed to portray her as cold, opportunistic, and morally compromised. Particularly damaging was evidence showing The View consistently misrepresented Melania's charitable work and deliberately ignored positive coverage of her initiatives. Court records indicate producers routinely rejected segment ideas that might humanize the former First Lady, with one email allegedly stating, "Our audience doesn't tune in for balanced coverage." This systematic campaign to damage her reputation extended beyond mere political criticism into deeply personal attacks on her character, marriage, and motivations, all presented without factual foundation. After years of watching silently, Melania finally decided enough was enough. Inside sources reveal the exact moment Melania decided to fight back. After watching yet another segment where hosts mocked her accent and questioned her intelligence, she reportedly told confidants, "They've mistaken my silence for weakness. That ends today." What followed was a meticulously planned legal strategy executed in total secrecy. Rather than issuing public denials or engaging in social media feuds, Melania assembled an elite legal team that spent months gathering evidence, interviewing former ABC employees, and building an airtight case. The network never saw it coming. When served with the lawsuit, ABC executives initially dismissed it as a publicity stunt, a catastrophic miscalculation that prevented early settlement talks and ultimately led to the historic $900 million judgment. But Melania's team came ready for war. The legal team arrived with an arsenal of damning evidence. Former ABC employees testified about witnessing producers explicitly instructing hosts to go after Melania with increasingly personal attacks. Technical staff provided time-stamped recordings of pre-show meetings where facts were deliberately omitted if they contradicted the show's preferred narrative about the former First Lady. Most devastating were internal communications showing producers celebrating when particularly harsh segments about Melania went viral, with one message allegedly reading, "Truth optional, clicks mandatory." This mountain of evidence painted a picture not of a show engaged in protected political commentary, but of a systematic campaign to defame a specific individual for rating and profit. The revelations didn't stop there. The lawsuit unexpectedly exposed widespread media bias beyond The View. Court documents revealed an informal network of producers across multiple networks who coordinated negative coverage of conservative figures, particularly women. Industry insiders call this the Manhattan bubble effect, where coastal media elites reinforce each other's perspectives while dismissing alternative viewpoints as inherently illegitimate. Witness testimony described how fact-checking standards vary dramatically depending on the political affiliation of the subject, with conservative figures subjected to minimal verification processes before damaging claims were broadcast. It was different rules for different people, explained one former producer. Some guests could say literally anything without pushback, while others faced immediate challenges for even basic statements. But the smoking gun came in digital form. A bombshell email shattered ABC's defense strategy. Dated just before a particularly vicious segment about Melania, a senior producer wrote, "Remember, we need to push the gold digger narrative hard today, accuracy optional." This explosive communication, obtained through discovery, demonstrated clear malice and reckless disregard for truth, the precise legal standard for defaming public figures. When confronted with this evidence under oath, network executives reportedly struggled to provide any legitimate journalistic justification for such instructions. Legal analysts called this email the kill shot for ABC's case, removing any plausible deniability about the intentional nature of the defamatory content. The resulting financial judgment has created an existential crisis for the network. Financial experts call the $900 million judgment potentially fatal for ABC's daytime lineup. Network insiders reveal emergency budget meetings where executives discuss slashing production budgets across multiple shows to absorb the massive financial hit. This isn't just about The View anymore, explained one financial analyst. This threatens ABC's entire programming strategy. The judgment reportedly exceeds the network's total insurance coverage for defamation claims, meaning significant portions must be paid directly from operating budgets. Industry observers note that previous defamation settlements against networks typically remain confidential and under $10 million, making this judgment unprecedented in both scale and public visibility, and the financial bloodletting may just be beginning. Inside sources confirm ABC executives are evaluating drastic survival options. An emergency board meeting reportedly considered 3 scenarios: immediately canceling The View, rebranding the show with entirely new hosts and format, or selling the program to another network willing to assume the associated legal risks. Nothing is off the table, revealed one insider. This is existential, particularly concerning for executives is the precedent this settlement creates for other public figures who believe they were defamed by the show over its 27-year run. Multiple former subjects of negative coverage have already contacted prominent defamation attorneys, raising the specter of a wave of similar lawsuits that could bankrupt the network. Meanwhile, another crisis is unfolding on the commercial side. Major advertisers are fleeing in unprecedented numbers. Premium brands, including luxury automakers and financial services companies, have reportedly pulled millions in scheduled advertising, fearing association with what one marketing director called toxic content with legal liability. Internal ABC documents show advertising revenue projections have been slashed by over 40% for the coming quarter, with little hope of recovery as the negative publicity continues. Perhaps most alarming for ABC, several major advertisers have reportedly reached out directly to Melania Trump's team, exploring potential partnerships in an apparent attempt to distance themselves from the View controversy. This commercial exodus creates a downward spiral that threatens not just The View, but ABC's entire daytime strategy, and no one faces greater professional peril than Sunny Hostin. Sunny Hostin's television career has imploded overnight. Television industry insiders reveal her agent has received 0 inquiries about future opportunities since the settlement was announced. She's radioactive, explained one network executive. No one can afford the liability. Legal experts note that while ABC bears primary financial responsibility for the settlement, Hostin faces potential personal liability for statements that exceeded her employment parameter. More devastating is the complete destruction of her credibility as a legal analyst, her original role before joining The View. How can someone who cost their network $900 million in a defamation case ever comment on legal matters again? Questioned one media analyst. While Hostin's future dims, Melania's star is rising dramatically. This legal victory has completely transformed Melania Trump's public image. Public relations experts call this the most successful reputation rehabilitation in recent memory, shifting her narrative from passive participant to principled fighter. She's rewritten her legacy, explained one crisis management consultant. This wasn't just about money, it was about reclaiming her narrative. Interest in Melania's upcoming projects has reportedly surged, with publishing houses engaging in a bidding war for her memoir that could exceed $20 million. Perhaps most significantly, internal polling data shows dramatic improvement in public perception of the former First Lady across all demographic groups, with particularly strong gains among women who previously viewed her unfavorably. This case represents more than personal vindication. Legal scholars are calling this the beginning of a new era in media accountability. Harvard law professors have already added the case to next semester's curriculum, with one calling it the most significant defamation precedent since New York Times v. Sullivan. The ruling establishes that even the most prominent public figures retain fundamental rights against knowingly false statements presented as fact. Several major networks have already revised their production guidelines, implementing stronger fact-checking protocols and explicit warnings against presenting speculation as established truth. This isn't about chilling free speech, explained one constitutional law expert. It's about restoring the boundary between protected opinion and malicious fabrication. The effects are spreading beyond television. Industry observers predict a wave of similar lawsuits against media outlets. At least 12 high-profile public figures have reportedly contacted attorneys specializing in defamation law since the settlement was announced, requesting evaluations of potential claims against various networks and publications. Legal experts note that while the First Amendment provides strong protections for opinions and good faith errors, the Melania Trump case demonstrated that malicious or reckless disregard for truth remains legally actionable. Internal memos show several major publications have ordered comprehensive reviews of their archives, identifying potentially defamatory content for possible retraction or correction. Meanwhile, the most immediate question concerns the fate of one of daytime television's longest-running programs. The stunning question everyone's asking, will The View survive this catastrophe? Network insiders reveal ABC executives are divided into two camps, those arguing for immediate cancellation versus those pushing for a complete reboot with entirely new hosts and stricter legal oversight. Viewership has reportedly collapsed since the settlement news broke, with audience numbers down over 60% as loyal viewers struggle to reconcile their attachment to the show with its now exposed practices. Perhaps most tellingly, industry sources confirm no major talent agency is currently willing to represent potential replacement hosts, fearing association with a brand that has become synonymous with legal liability. 27 years on air ended by one lawsuit, remarked a veteran television producer. That's the power of standing up to media bullying, and Melania Trump just wrote the new playbook for fighting back.